Alright, welcome back to Fullest House, first edition, where we were playing Vaettiheim. It was turn 53. Oh yeah, these turns starting to get complicated. So we are making some chaff, finished research in Conjuration 7, headed on to Blood 8, we talked about that. Doing some remote site searching, which of course, doesn't work out. I will say that I have heard, since I've played this game, people talk about how some of the remote site searching is not as useful in the late age because there are fewer gems or fewer sites available. So that's definitely not something I considered for this game, and in retrospect, maybe did too much remote site searching. I think overall as a player, I probably don't do enough remote site searching, so I think my timing was just bad, where it's like, I need to do more remote site searching, but maybe not in my late age games. So regardless, these remote site searchings don't work out for us. Of course, then again, neither do most of our manual site searching. We do find a site, though. This looks like a death site. We definitely like death gems. That's very nice. Though that is a lot of research that we're spending to accomplish that. Our blood hunting is in a better place. Certainly it's not going to impress anyone. But, it's enough blood slaves for our purposes. And then we catch a number of battles. So here I was saying last turn that, the battle, looks like the war between Marignon and the Mer people definitely still on. Because this is Marignon's capital, and there is a whole host of Mer people here. A lot of mages. Some looks like some bottle of waters, because there are already some water elementals in there. That's probably where they come from. And it looks like Marignon has chosen not to patrol. So just province defense here, and this probably won't trigger gem usage. And I have not clicked on all the mages, but definitely looks like there's some gems here. So this will work out for the Mer people. And indeed, it works out with no casualties. But of course, Marignon does have a lot of assassins. In fact, I think one of their assassins is the current arena champion, if I'm recalling correctly. So this is perhaps all of Marignon's plan. And then we see a fight between Relay and Pythium, which is a bit of a problem because we're in the middle of attacking Pythium, so not the end of the world. Like, we weren't really planning on attacking Pythium in a lot of ways. It does look like they have some mages set up, probably as counter raiders against us. And this is just a bunch of garbage from Relay. Late Age Relay, one of the weaker nations in Dominions. These guys probably, I was going to say high strength, but nope. So they're just insane. I'm not sure if that matters for regular units, but it does look like there's probably enough here. And of course, the nature mages, I take that back. So armies of Relay have been routed. Ooh, say that 10 times fast. And I guess that's good news for us. It doesn't look like we were going to bump. We were not attacking that province this turn. And like I said, it would not be the end of the world if we didn't get that province. Not a big deal. Though it does look like it's a farmland. Probably a mountain farmland, though. Here's our Ice Devil. And he is up against just province defense. So he should be fine, right? Yeah, our Ice Devil would never fail us. And this is probably against the barbarians. And I think the plan here was just skeletons. Definitely wasting a good amount of research here. But I think no gems, which is an improvement. Oh, I say that. Lo and behold, here's a gem. Look at this swarm. Maybe I just forgot to take it off. Maybe it's just an emergency gem. Doesn't look like she scripted to cast it. Anyway, this is definitely more than enough commitment. I don't know. Anytime I'm committing mages like this, especially valuable mages, and this is just because we didn't, it's near our heartland. We don't really have a lot back here other than, mostly valuable mages. So I tend to overcommit against the independents, which I don't even necessarily hate because it just sucks to lose valuable mages against barbarians. I mean, it sucks to lose them against anything, but extra painful if it's against the independents. You really, kind of kick yourself when you try to cheap out and it bites you in the butt. And so, here we have the archers are probably the scariest thing. So we're storming. Again, plan is skeletons, foul vapors. There's a significant amount of stuff back here, and some of them are nature mages who, in fact, have nature gems. And of course, these pans are just naturally poison resistant. I think just because of their high level of nature magic here. So for the moment, it doesn't look like they're casting any poison resistance, which is good news for us. Some anti-magic coming out for them. Yeah, some swarm, that's fine. Regeneration, legions of steel. None of this is stuff that we're too worried about. Our skeletons might struggle a bit to cut through these regenerating fellows, especially if they have some armor on them or something like that with legions of steel. That could be a little problematic, but as long as nobody gets any poison resistance, Earth Elemental, this should be fine. We also have, Heat from Hell. This is not from us. So this is from, must be Pangea's Pretender. Yeah, so a bit of a fatigue play from Pangea. Definitely an interesting one. I don't think they have fire resistance. No, they don't. So, perhaps a bit of a desperation play, right? It's like, well, Vaettiheim's probably not ready for it. Also, Vaettiheim definitely doesn't like anything heat-related, so that could potentially... Ooh, looks like we have our own fatigue play here. Yeah, so we're going for Rigor Mortis, which is always a little bit scary, but at least we're not on the defense. And they also have Howl. Pangea put up Howl. We do not have Relief up. So, skeletons don't care about the Rigor Mortis, but our mages definitely do. Okay, surely we're the ones putting up Darkness. No. So Darkness coming out from Pangea, which is an interesting choice. Although that said, with all the fatigue plays and everything, and the fact that we don't have Relief, not a whole lot of skeletons here. We have lost Rigor Mortis, so either our caster died or potentially retreated. We should be pretty safe from our own poison here. We do see a few poison ticks. I don't know, some of these Rimvetti, poison resistance 25. Clearly not all of them managed to get that, but yeah, we should be okay from a poison resistance standpoint. So I still think overall this probably works out for us. Maybe we don't take it this turn, but I think we at least kill most of what's in here. Definitely surprised that Pangea chose to... I guess their pretender is fairly high death and is making a lot of skeletons. In fact, I think we're getting out-skeletoned here, which is a little embarrassing as a death nation, Vaettiheim. Luckily, even our Rimvetti in Heat from Hell and like all these, fatigue plays are still pretty effective. But, this is the opposite of what was supposed to happen with the skeleton situation. Howl, of course, also helping out a lot in terms of chaff generation. And yeah, I do not see this working out for us. This is an embarrassing loss here. Hopefully not too painful, but certainly at least some painful. Some of these mages will die. Probably most of them are not twice-borned. But again, we do still have Fell Vapors going, so we can see there's not a whole lot back here anymore. We have cleared out a ton of mages, so not the worst loss, but considering we chose it, a little embarrassing. So yeah, we lose 8 mages. 3 of them are cap onlys. Very painful. On the other hand, we kill 15 mages, one of which is Pangea's Pretender, so there's just not a whole lot left in here. We should be able to take this next turn. Definitely not a clean storm, considering that we failed, but with the resource disparity, not the end of the world. May delay us a bit against Pythium. And we have some unexpected events. Love these. Another person claiming Fountain of Fire. Maybe it really is one. I think this is our second notification about that. And then we lose some Dominion in a place. Now we foresee a major event. Stars are bright for evocations. I will probably not take advantage of this. I do need to get better at that, especially later in the game. This can be fairly significant, especially if you want to cast like a global. It'd be hard to, time. The stars really would need to align for you. But if you can pull it off, that could be significant savings. Looks like we lose a scout in a place, to Gath. And Pangea is still breached. That's good. We get at least one mage back as a white mage. And of course we get rid of some filthy brigands. And I'll catch you guys after the jump. Alright, this was the situation and what we did about it. First and foremost, we are moving in force, maybe even too much force, against Pangea's capital. So we're pulling everything off of the throne here. It's a little bit concerning. There's 6 province defense here defending it, but, we should theoretically have time if Pangea decides to move out, though they do have those stealthy Lar thugs. So in retrospect, maybe should have left more of a defense, but we didn't. We're bringing everything on top of Pangea's capital. It's still cracked. Like I said, there's not a whole lot left in there, so, we should be able to take this no problem. On the other hand, Pythium's capital still continues to build in terms of units, so... Don't love this in retrospect, but again, considering the resource disparity, it's not like we can lose against Pythium. It's just a question of if other things happen right before we can close this out. And speaking of closing it out, we are making a raid here against this. So we have one of our twice-born mages just making skeletons and some wolf brothers. We're moving this, a bunch of different raiding squads, this massively oversized raiding squad. We're just sneaking it into this province that Relay tried to take last turn because... potentially, Relay definitely still has stuff in this fortification that's bordering. So they may have another crack at it. If they don't, then yeah, we'll probably just move against it next turn. Speaking of Relay, we do not see a siege here anymore on top of this Cetician fort. In fact, we don't see any other sieges, though we do see a Relay flag deeper in Cetissa's territory. Don't love this disconnected raiding, but yeah, we don't really know a whole lot about what's going on in this war, though we do see a neutral underwater throne here, which is not a good sign for Relay. I mean, we knew Relay wasn't in a great position, but, it's turn 53, Relay's the only person in the lake. Come on, take that throne. So I'd say probably Cetis doesn't have a whole lot to worry about. In terms of other things that we're up to, mostly just shuffling around, site searchers, things like that. We are doing a bit of recruitment down here, but that is to beef up the patrollers for this new blood hunting group, because you can see from the unrest here, don't quite have enough patrollers. It does look like Gath is potentially moving forces in. We see a lot of these thugs that they have, these flying thugs. Potentially there was a failed attempt. It's a little interesting that we see them in two different bordering provinces. We don't have a scout in Patala because there's literally maximum province defense, and they tend to be patrolling more or less every turn. So any scouts that we move in get patrolled out very, very quickly. So we don't know for sure that there was an attempt, but I would say that either Gath already made an attempt and failed or is planning on making an attempt. Yeah, our forging mostly the same. We are getting another Dwarven Hammer, but mostly research boosters. Probably the most interesting thing here is a Starshine Skullcap, so an Astral booster. We're doing some forging, not in the Steel Ovens, which is always a little bit painful, but our Pretender is forging us a Blood booster, which is super useful. Blood 5 seems to be a really important breakpoint, and we don't really have any mages that natively get there, so the more Blood boosters we can get, the better. And we're just forging it here just because it's probably not worth a Pretender turn to jump all the way back to the Steel Ovens and then jump back out to wherever we're planning on going. And while our blood hunting isn't fantastic, it's not like we have a shortage of blood slaves. I think that more or less covers what we're up to. We talked to a lot of our neighbors. It looks like, the sieges here of Raga's last forts are still ongoing. Not a whole lot has changed there. It doesn't really look like Gartha is up to anything new. And then really the only other change, which we, did witness, right? Marignon's capital is under siege again, and of course, they do have a lot of assassins, but anytime your capital's under siege, like even if that's kind of part of your plan, like it's always painful. That's a lot of income that you're losing, so hopefully for Marignon this doesn't last too much longer. Marignon is kind of a good neighbor for us because they're not that big and they're really busy, and I've also played against this player that's playing the Merfolk Nation, and they're one of the best players I've played against. So we're definitely rooting for Marignon in this conflict. And I think that more or less covers turn 53.